Sales is influence, so don't panic about sales. So what you're going to learn today then is how we explain things determines how people understand things. Right? I want you to realize that. How you explain things determines how people understand things. And there's a term that I coined about 5 years ago called simple science. And I coined that after talking to enough personal trainers, and I would ask them, so what kind of training business do you have? I would say, well, got my education in kinesiology, did my thesis in X. I'm a certified strength and conditioning specialist, distinguished. And then would go into the science that would make my eyes cross, and I'm from the industry. And I realized real quickly that, man, you're probably saying this stuff to a prospect who's right across from you. See, because that's your tools of the trade. If you have a tool belt, you got all those things hanging off your tool belt. But guess what? They don't want your tool belt. They want the house. No one's looking to buy a drill. Everybody wants the whole. Does that make sense to you? They want the whole, the outcome. And so oftentimes, we go into explaining, imagine if I explained human behavior and why go in depth about the human behavior and the science of why people purchase, and that when someone actually makes a purchase, their desire to purchase is not satisfied, it's actually agitated, and they purchase more, and there's a whole scientific reason for that and emotional triggers that lead to that. You don't care about that. You just want to know, how do I get more clients, make more money? That's what I teach, right? Those of you that are wacky like I am will want to learn the science behind it and just kind of figure it out and deconstruct it and see how we can reconstruct it better. But I want you to understand that how you explain things really does determine how people understand it. And so I want you to simplify the science, right? That's why I talked about the Omron body fat test. I know it's 3 to 5% off one way or another, but it doesn't matter. If you're north of 30% body fat, and most people are who you're going to body fat test, does it really matter 30, 33, 35, 36, 38%? No. No, because once you get them as a client, you're either going to use your bioimpedance, you're either going to use the calipers, or whatever method. You might, get a truck to come in and do hydrostatic once a month, right? I've got a couple of coaching clients who have the truck come in and they do hydrostatic. But you got to simplify the science. Here, Mrs. Jones holds this. We're going to do a body fat test. Got it. Really important for you to simplify that. And of course, how people perceive things determines their buying behavior. And of course, you're going to learn how you can influence their understanding, perception, and behavior during the buying process. That's very important, by the way. You do have 100% influence and control over their understanding, their perception, and their behavior during the buying process. And that's important because if you don't have control and compliance over your prospect, Pedros, that's kind of heavy words you're using, control and compliance. That's like what a cult would use. Yeah, that is what a cult does. The difference is we're not going to have people shave their heads, wear the Nikes, and drink the Kool-Aid and kick the can, right? We're not going to do that. We need them to comply. We need to get control over their behavior in that moment so that we can convert them into a paying client so they don't screw up and make a bad decision by going to get lap band, by getting the fat sucked out of them and having big giant craters all over their body, right? So the way I look at it is I'll do whatever it takes to get you to become a client of mine, because once you're a client, you're under my protection. As a customer, a person who just buys from me one-off, comes to an event, buys an info product, pays to attend a webinar, you're a customer. That's transaction. That's great, but I don't have tremendous influence on you. I can't open up your brain and install new knowledge and behavior and habits and be there that when you deviate to fix you again, right? Get you back on track. But when you become a client, you're under my protection. And by the way, you guys know that, right? Customers or transactions, your clients are under your protection. So you've got an obligation to help them reach their outcome.